Cool. Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Worldviews. Today we have on Chris Williams. Chris has had a lucrative career in acting and voice acting as well. Chris has appeared in projects such as Dodgeball, Silicon Valley, Lottery Ticket, along with numerous animated films and video games. Chris, thanks for coming on Worldviews.
Thanks for having me.
Chris, can we just start off with what inspired you to become an actor and entertainer?
What inspired me? Well, I've been doing this since I was my first play, or at least first taste of the entertainment life, was I was in nursery school and I played a mop, and I married a Raggedy Ann doll, and I was like, "Oh, you can get girls like this at 5." So no, that was the first time, and then my parents are both music teachers and performers, and my sister's a famous performer, so it's kind of in our family. And I was going to go to law school. I was going to become a lawyer, but that's just not my calling. And I decided to, do what I like to do, and I'm pretty good at. So
Yeah, do you ever feel like you had wait a minute, I just realized something. Do you have a nephew?
yes,
Do we share the same name?
yes, you do. But
Okay,
Devin.
okay. It just hit me just now when you were talking because you have a sister. And I realized your sister is Vanessa.
Yes,
Okay, my mom named me after your nephew. I just realized that. But
really,
continue on. Yeah, it just like triggered right here. I was like, wait a
with a
minute.
Y.
Yeah, it changed it up a little bit. I think I was named after it was between it was kind of like a hybrid of your nephew and then someone else at the hospital I was at named their kid Devin. That kid might have been with a Y. Not sure. I
Really,
asked my mother later on. But yeah, I
I'll
just
be
realized
I'll be sure to tell him that,
it. Cool,
and my
appreciate it.
sister that. Yeah.
But oh,
So
do
you're
you ever
like
feel
you're
like
like what 20? How old are you? 28, 20, 29?
28,
28, yeah,
28?
that's about right, 'cause he's 31, about to be 32, so yeah, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. But did you ever feel like you had a "I made it" moment while being an entertainer?
An "I made it" moment?
Yeah, like
Um, uh, I had a couple. I did a TV show pilot, for ABC in the year I don't know, no, 1997, 98. It was called Honolulu Crew. It was about a bunch of Hawaiian detectives, and we were shot in Honolulu, shot in Hawaii, and I was getting paid a good amount of money. And I was in a circle, shooting in a circle. We were all checking our guns before we are going out on a raid, whatever. And it was me, Russell Long, who's the actor, Lori Petty, um, who's an actress, and Michael Rooker, who's been in the Guardian of the Galaxy stuff. And we were all standing around, checking our guns. And I was going, boy, this is fun. I'm in Hawaii. I'm working. I'm making money. I'm playing and my partner was John Hawkes, who's been nominated for 2 Academy Awards. So I was like, boy, this is fun. Yeah, I can say that much. And I was in Hawaii. It was a fun project. We got to go around Oahu in the back of a squad car just to see the stuff that's going on. So we got to learn how to how to handle a gun. That was great. That was one of the things, not made it, but one of the times I was like, I remember being there going, wow, this is fucking awesome. This is a great feeling to just be in there and getting paid. And I'm in Hawaii and it's great and great people. And that was the moment. I also had a great moment when I did a movie called The World's Fastest Indian with Anthony Hopkins.
Mhm,
And I
mhm.
did 8 scenes, and they were all just me and Anthony Hopkins, pretty much. And I got to sit in a car with him, and just me and him, a lot of scenes. And I got to spend time with Anthony Hopkins, just asking him questions about acting, asking him questions about all kinds of stuff. And, he told me a story about how Charlie Chaplin was one of his idols and he wrote him a letter as a kid. And Charlie Chaplin wrote him back And I'm like, do you have the letter? I'm like, do you have the letter? And he's like, no, my mom threw it away. It's like a long time ago. But then coming full circle, he was on the set of Silence of the Lambs. And no, he was on this, he got nominated for Silence of the Lambs. And when he found out, he was on the set of Chaplin. He was doing the movie with Robert Downey Jr. on the set of Chaplin. And then it's when he found out he was nominated for, which he won for Silence of the Lambs. So just small little things like that that you would never know. And I got the privilege of being with one of the greatest actors of our generation and to go toe to toe with him. And he also did not make a good actor does not make you feel like you're outside of what you're doing. You feel like you're just having a conversation with someone who's, that's what acting is just being and having an exchange. So I'm not thinking, oh my God, I'm acting with Anthony Hopkins. I'm just in my character doing my thing, and he's just in his character. And at one point in like my dialogue, I said, "Are you AAA member?" And he goes, "What?" Because couldn't hear me. As opposed to just saying the line that he had, he was like, "Huh?" And I had to repeat the question, which lends to the authenticity of what the acting is about, basically. Because if he couldn't hear me, no matter what I said, he's not going to repeat his line because that's not acting. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
So I was on set of World's Fastest Indian, talking to him, having all these questions, and he was writing music at the time. He didn't know how to read music, but he was playing piano, writing music. And he invited me into his trailer because he said, "You want to hear some music that I'm writing?" So I'm sitting there, in Anthony Hopkins' trailer, listening to music he composed. And I so happened to be in my role. I played at the time, called a transvestite. Now it's, something different, but I'm in full drag in Anthony Hopkins' trailer and listen to his music going, like, what has my life become? Like, what has my life become? Like, so that was another moment that I'm like, I would not have had this experience at all if it wasn't for my career or my acting or whatever. So, I've had a couple of great moments where I always try to take a step back no matter what I'm doing and really look at the present situation of where you are right now, what you're doing right now. Does that make sense? So reflecting, even taking a step back and going, okay, remember this moment. Remember how you're feeling in this moment, what's going on in this moment, and taking a mental snapshot of it, and so you can have it for posterity. So that was another. So in terms of really making it, I remember when I got that call that I got the role with Anthony Hopkins. I remember I was standing out in my courtyard. I remember that. I've had a couple different things when I got shouted out at the Emmys um, for my performance on Crazy Ass Killer for Curb Your Enthusiasm. The director who had just won um, gave me a shout out in front of everybody, which was, phenomenal. You didn't have to do that, but you know. So I've had some really great moments in my career of special times that I've gone through because of my work.
That's sweet because when you mentioned good actors make you feel like you're in the moment, if I was in your shoes and I was about to act with Anthony Hopkins, I would feel extremely nervous. Did you not feel any of that, or did it just diminish
No.
quickly once you got in the scene?
Well, that's another thing. There's no reason to be nervous because if you, and one of the things I asked him also is like, well, what do you do? What are your techniques? He's just like, learn your lines and say them. He's like, keep it simple. Really, just learn your lines really, really well, and then just say them. So you're not thinking about. If you're thinking about stuff, you're not acting. You're reacting. When someone cuts you off, if you're driving your car and someone cuts you off, right? You're not thinking, I got to be really angry at this moment and say, hey, man, what? Oh, am I angry enough? Hey, man, don't cut me. No, you're just like, you're fucking angry because someone cut you off. Instantly, you're like, your level of anger is where you want to be at that moment. Does that make sense? It just comes out organically. So you're not thinking about how angry should I be if a guy cuts me off. You're just angry or not angry at that moment, whatever that feeling is at the time. So you don't really good acting is really reacting and really feeding off. And I had no nervousness with him at all because it was two actors doing a scene and two characters relating to one another, and he just made it really easy. I think that's a testament to a fantastic actor. If you're making, and also a giving actor as well. The more that you're present and giving, because I've been in some situations where people aren't giving or aren't with you in that moment, and you're struggling to, you got to grind, you got to work hard to make a connection, because acting is are connections between people, you know. And if no one's giving you something back, and you're trying to get something out of someone and they're not doing that for you, you kind of have to manufacture that on your own. But when it's someone who's just relating to you as the character and you're relating to them as a character, there's really no need to be nervous, because you know us having a conversation, there's no reason to be nervous because we're just having a conversation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, like when you're talking to a friend or you're talking to someone else, you're not nervous because you're just relating to someone else, and that's really what acting is relating to someone else and with text. You know, so uh, yeah, I wasn't. He made it great. He was amazing. He was an incredible individual, really giving human being, and a loving man too. Just a really good man. He was like at one point I was up for a role in this USA pilot, and it's like, do you want any help? Do you want you? Can I? And anything I can do? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, you want me to call the president of USA TV? I was like, yeah, if you want to. He's like, okay. Called up the USA TV network and said, this is Anthony Hopkins calling. He goes, what do you want me to say? I'm like, you say whatever you want. He's like, I just want to let you know I'm working with Chris Williams right now. He's a fantastic actor. I just want to let you know that blah, blah, blah. And he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to do that at all. But he was like, anything I can do to help you get on your way. I didn't get the role, but it was an amazing testament of the type of person he is, and that comes through in a lot of times it comes through in acting. When you can see people are open and giving, it makes it a lot easier to relate to someone else. Even if they're you're combative with each other, you're at least being open with each other and receiving and giving. So, excuse me. Um, yeah, so I wasn't nervous at all. I really don't get nervous is not the I would get nervous about sometimes remembering lines, like not nervous about it, but hyper focused on like a monologue. I did a monk episode where I had a lot of dialogue and technical things and this and the other, and just making sure that I knew all my lines. But I usually don't get really nervous when I'm acting. I don't really usually get nervous. Maybe there's a anticipation of what's to come, but once you're in it, you're in it. It's great. It's a great feeling. And when it's cooking and when it's buzzing, man, you can't beat that. I remember I was on a TV show called One Big Happy, and I'm doing multicam sitcoms. Or it, there's different. I'm talking, by the way. I'll just keep talking if you
Oh,
like.
please, please. That's what we're here.
There's different types of acting that you have to learn as well. There's not acting is not a singular. It's a singular art form, but there's many facets to it. Where they say on stage, if you're a stage actor, which I originally came from, you have to act with your body so the people in the back can see what you're doing, can feel. If you're in 18, in the balcony in the back, they still have to feel what you're doing. If you're excited about something. You can't do that on TV because you'll come off like this, and then you can't do that on film because even that on film. So stage acting is body acting, like you have to express everything with your body. TV acting is usually from waist up. You know what I mean? It's usually here, facial expressions and a little toned down. And in film, your eyes and everything is so big that if you go, it picks it up. Even if you're like confused in something, it will pick up just that amount. Where on stage, you can't see that. And TV, you may be able to see it, but you'd have to be like, what? But in film, you can just literally, that can change a moment. That can change because it's so big. So you have to learn how to navigate what type of acting is going on. And it's hard for some stage actors to become film actors because they can't shut it down. They're too big. And it's very hard for some film actors to become stage actors. I saw Terrence Howard on Broadway, and he's a film actor. So he was acting, and he's a great actor, but it wasn't right. It was his first play, really. It wasn't right for the stage. And it was opposite James Earl Jones on Cat on the Hot Tin Roof. So James Earl Jones was a presence, and he comes from the stage and he commands the stage. Terrence Howard is more of a subtle actor, and it's not the same. It's not the same. So there are distinctions in the types of acting that you have to do. Um, I don't know how I got to that point, but you have to. So one of the times I was on a multicam sitcom, which is a whole different thing because multicams are like Friends or Cheers or a multicam sitcom as opposed to a single camera, which is like Arrested Development or Abbott Elementary. Those are single camera where a single camera follows you around. But multi-camera is like I Love Lucy on a set with, sets and stuff, Two Broke Girls, where there's 4-foot camera setup and then you're doing it that way. You do take after take. Um, when you're in front of a live studio audience and you're taping that kind of stuff, single cams, you don't have an audience. Like all those things are on you don't have an audience. So you can cut and do what you need to do. If you have a live studio audience that people are going to be sitting there for 3 or 4 hours and you got to, okay, and action, and you're doing your thing, and then a camera messes up and this, that, and the other, or they want to change dialogue in the middle of the scene. You've done the scene, and they go, okay, what I want you to do now is we're going to change this joke from, you're going to walk over here now. We're going to change this joke to, so is that what you're going to do? Is that what you're going to do with that hat? And he's going to say, yeah, I love this hat. Okay, well, you need to put it away. That's the joke. So go say it. Is that what you can do with that hat? And he goes, yeah, I always have to do that. Okay, well, then put it away. Okay, you got it? Got it? Got it? Okay, let's go. And you got to know, as a professional actor, that's a whole nother skill set where I'm like, you got to be able to learn. And mind you, you've been practicing your lines the whole time for how it was written. But we're going to take this whole section out. Don't say this anymore. We're just going to say this part, and you walk over there this time instead of walking over there. So you got to go, and we're doing it now. Are you ready? You good? Good? Let's go. So you got to know it's not, you just say lines and this, that, and the other. You got to know that you in your head to edit, cut, and make it funny. Make it funny. That's a whole nother thing of like, it's a funny joke. You get you have to get what the joke is, why they're changing it, why they're adding it, and then you got to do it. You got to execute it. So that's also a buzz feeling when they say, okay, hyper focus, let's go, do this, and action in front of a studio audience. People are watching you, and they know there's a change, and they're seeing what the change is. That's a whole nother ballgame. Does that make sense? And in film, you do scene to scene. In film, you have a scene, you have a scene, and then, for instance, in film, like in TV as a multicam, it's all done right there. They're moving on to the next one. That's behind you. In a film, or a lot of in single camera as well for TV, in a film, you do a wide shot first. So you do the scene between, and there's usually no deviation in the script. The writer's on there, try this. There's sometimes improv, but you're learning the script. So they shoot a wide, which is where you can see the whole thing, and maybe both of them, two people standing in a kitchen, right? So they'll shoot wide, you doing all the dialogue of you two having this argument in the kitchen, right? And then you got to remember how you, I can't believe you did this, right? I'm the master. I can't believe you did this. When they do your close up, you can't go, I can't believe you did this because it won't match.
Mm.
So you're acting, you got to remember shit and hitting a mark, which is a X on the floor, an X on the floor because if you're here and you're in focus, this is where there's an X there. You have to say all your dialogue here because you're in focus. If you did this and you came up to here, you're out of focus. You missed your mark. So it's not going to work. So the camera's going to be out. So you got to remember it's not just the acting part. There's technical parts that go with it too. So they shoot a master shot of the two of you. That's when you get the first dialogue. That's when, there's something, they may use that, but then they'll cut to your point of view. So then they'll shoot you this way and you do the scene, right? I can't believe you did this, right? And then they'll shoot his point of view from the other side, and you do the same. I can't believe you did this, and he's doing, or he or she's doing their dialogue. So, and then the editor puts it all together. So a lot of times, if you're watching a film, it looks seamless. It looks like it was one take or something, but it's not. It's this, 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 this. Maybe an insert of just this. There could be an insert of that when you're doing that. It's a really fascinating concept, and a lot of things you don't learn until you're actually doing them. Like no one tells you how to hit a mark well until you're actually doing it. There's training in stuff, but hitting a mark on stage is good for lighting wise, but hitting a light for camera is a whole nother ball game. You know what I mean? You can't go, a lot of times you can't do this because, your camera's focused on static right here. You know what I mean? Anyway, I just go off on I went on a tangent,
No, you're good.
but,
So
but there's different types of acting that are involved. And some parts for me, like that, learning that thing of like, okay, studio audience, let's go. And when you nail something, man, it fills you up. Feels really good. Feels really good when you nail something that's funny. I especially like when I do something that's funny. When the audience is laughing or the crew is laughing. I'll send you a clip that I did from the Upshaws that it was great. It filled me up with joy. It was really good. When the crew is clapping for you, when everyone's clapping for you and the crew is laughing and there's no studio audience, that's when you know you nailed it. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, you're good. It's just insane to me because you just described multiple dimensions of acting and skill required while working on the fly, and you did even hop into the fact that you also do voice acting for animated films and video games, and the requirements for skill there. But nonetheless, you still never feel any sort of pressure.
Oh, you feel pressure? No, no, no. There's pressure, all right. You got to do it right. And also, yeah, there's pressure. And when I say nerves, I'm not thinking about because if I'm thinking about, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, I can't do my work. I'm not doing my work. I'm not in the character. I'm not doing it. So it's gonna stop me unless you can use those nerves as part of the character. You know what I mean? But no, there's pressure. Oh, there's tremendous amount of pressure because also, for instance, if you're doing something and you mess up a line or mess up something else, remember everyone. There's
Yeah.
40 people on set waiting for you so we can go to the next scene. And if you keep fucking up, if you keep not knowing your lines or this, that, and the other, people are waiting for you, and you're like, God damn, can this? And then you feel the pressure of, oh my God. I remember I did a pilot a couple years ago, and for the life of me, it was not a tongue twister, but it was hard for me to get it out. And I got it out. It was a long speech, and it was hard for me to get it. Sometimes you get in a rut and you get a blockage, and there's nothing, and you gotta. That's being a professional. You gotta and take it again, and try to get it right as much as you can. So, um, uh, Yeah, there's pressure. Friends. There's pressure. You
Yeah.
just got to know how to handle it and be part of it, you know?
How long? Because how long does it take usually to shoot like a sitcom episode from a studio audience? Are they there for like 5 hours? The audience themselves?
Yeah, usually, oh, well, ever since COVID, they haven't been doing that. That's how it used to be standard all the time. And it was pretty 5 hours, sometimes even longer if it's a new sitcom. So they sit in the audience and they're getting tired. And, usually senior groups sometimes, like older groups or people who get free tickets and stuff. But yeah, shooting a sitcom can take a long time. Can take a long. Usually, it's like uh, we would start at like 6, 7, 8, and then 11. Yeah, 4 hours, and then maybe do pickups as well. But yeah, it takes a long time. It takes a long time. A lot of people on set
Y-
too.
Yeah, and surely during these times of on the fly work, I hope that a lot of the directors have grace during these times with the actors and actresses.
Some, some,
Just
some
some.
don't. Some do, some don't. You never know what you're gonna get. Some I've worked with a commercial director, very famous commercial director who's done a lot of spots, and he was an awful human being. And to the actors and everybody, even on his crew, are you fucking? What is fucking wrong with you? You have a fucking problem. Do I need to fucking replace you right now? Because you're doing a fucking shit job. Do you know your fucking lines? Hey, do you know your fucking lines? Say your fucking lines right. So imagine working on a production and you're trying to do your best, and someone's fucking berating you. What's the problem? Do you not know your lines? Do you need help? You need to go over them again? Or are you gonna get your fucking lines right? Come on, let's go. We got time is money. I was like, oh shit, well, I know my lines. You fucking with me. Not with me. I was like, okay, I know my shit. But this woman, she couldn't do it. I don't know if she was intimidated or something. It was hard for her to do it. So yeah,
Have you
yeah,
seen like
man.
a live meltdown?
No, she had a little bit of a meltdown. Um, not a real big meltdown, no, but it all depends on the circumstances, the actors, and the situation, and how high pressure the situation is. But it can be tough, man. It can be tough. It's no joke.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
when I was looking at your IMDb page, the first credit that you had was for Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Do you recall that experience?
Well, my first role was a thing called Where I Live. It was a sitcom on ABC with Dougie Doug, who was a it was he was in running cool. What is it, Running Cool? And it was the bobsled movie. Um, and so I had two lines on that, but then I did Fresh Prince, and my sister was on the episode too. I can't with she was having a baby, and I played a paramedic that comes into the limo with Will Smith and my sister. So yeah, that was 1993, 1993 or 95, long time ago. Oof, that's 30 years ago. Shit, 30 years ago, man.
Yay.
Yeah,
Time flies,
man.
doesn't it?
Yep, 30 years ago. So yep, Fresh Prince. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to hit on too the voice acting in animated films and video games as well. What are some things that the average person wouldn't realize when it comes to the intricacies of doing that kind of work? Because I guess from a outsider, I just see, okay, they look at lines on a piece of paper and they said to say into a microphone, but obviously from your point of view, there's a lot more than that.
Well, also you have to. Yeah. Well, it depends on if it's an animated project where you're doing a character. Remember, they can't see you, so you have to act through your voice. And
Hmm.
some people are really good at that, and some people are not as good at that. But and like video games is something different where you get a slate of dialogue that you have to do. I'm in the new Spider-Man 2 game on on PlayStation and Xbox, and I play Robbie Robertson. So you have to make it as you're seeing the line, and you have to say it automatically, and then you can keep saying the next line, next line, next line. So it's like it's one of those things that you have to be able to incorporate something immediately and be able to say it. And if it's a scripted project where you kind of know your character, it's just bringing your character to life, and even acting with someone else. Sometimes you don't get that luxury of acting against someone else or responding to someone. So you have to imagine yourself, excuse me, responding. Um, so yeah, so everything is a different muscle. Everything is a different, and the only way to really do it is by doing it. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you because I thought, did you say you did Spider-Man, the recent Spider-Man? Did you do one for PS2 as well?
I've done a couple, not Spider Man, but the why wasn't was I in Spider Man? Like I've done Need for Speed. I did one of the Need for Speeds. I did NBA 2K like a long time ago, where that was motion capture. Where
Ooh.
that was one of the first mocap things that I did. And then you do different, and I did the Crash Bandicoot. I was Crunch Bandicoot, so I was doing Mr. T character. My whole thing was Mr. T. And then also you have to learn how to do. I did looping. Do you know what looping is? ADR.
No.
So I did the latest Batman movie with uh, Robert Pattinson, and like I did the voice. So looping is called ADR, additional dialogue recording, where after the film is done, they're usually a loop group of people who come together, probably could be 8 to 10 to 15 people, whatever, in a dark studio, and you see when there are people doing their dialogues in the background. If you're in a restaurant, you can see two people talking in the background. So you have to, what would they be talking about? Oh, well, how was your day? Good, really? Okay. But you don't notice it. You're not noticing it as when you watch the film, but all that stuff in the background is done after the fact, because all you're hearing, everyone's being quiet when they're in a restaurant and they're doing dialogue with one another. But the rest of it is completely quiet on set. So all you're seeing is two people talking, but there's all kinds of stuff going on in the background. But you don't hear that. So they bring in actors, voice actors, that come in and do the lines in the background. Now, if it's if you're in the hospital, you got to know medical terms. Doctor, you have the 3 cc's of Trebitol for so and so and so and so. Yeah, I'll get that right on you. Hey, so and so. Hey, nurse. And you can see people. They'll say, "Oh, I'll take this guy or this woman, and I'll take this, and you take this woman," and then you do what they could have said in that moment. So if you're watching a film, next time you watch a film, watch a big scene and look, and it's indistinguishable sometimes because it's underneath, but that's where that's how they fill in the stuff, the dialogue. So I did Batman, and the scene in the funeral. Did you see the movie?
Oh
the
yeah.
funeral the funeral scene,
Yeah.
before it goes crazy, and it was
Before,
for
yeah.
whatever. I'm the voiceover. I think it's at an hour into the film, like literally 101, 100. And he walks in the thing, and I'm the voiceover. Welcome to so and so, so and so. Please, keep your da 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 da. Da." So I'm the voice, and you also not compete to do that. They say, okay, we need a guy who's going to do the speaker for the funeral. Who wants to do it? I'll give it a try. And then you go and you say, and you have to do it within a certain amount of time. Welcome to Gotham City's Fun for So and So. Yeah, da, 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 and say it fast enough where you get all the dialogue in, but slow enough where you can actually hear what you're just saying. You can't go, "Welcome to Gotham City." Da, 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 and it's like, no, it's got to be faster. You only have a minute to say this. Can so different guys will take it, and then whoever they get, okay, you got that one. So I won that one, or I got that one. But then we also had to go outside And the Halloween scene, at the beginning when it's Halloween and everyone's, laughing, we have to walk in a giant circle outside, making it sound like it's rain. Oh man, oh I love your costume. So you'll you'll see it raining and stuff like that, but people are walking around a whole microphone outside and doing this whole dialogue thing, and then they fill it in later. And also, the reason why I was saying this is because even in video games and cartoons, there's efforts. Oh, oh, if you're getting punched,
Yeah.
huh, oh. You have to learn how to do those things. So, like in the Batman scene, when he's fighting something, you got to do those things. So it fills in. They fill in later with an effort. You know, so it's a whole big process. There's so many things behind the scenes with ADR and stuff like that. And I've done 5 or 6 movies. I've done Martin Lawrence's a couple times. I've done um, where they have done Eddie. Have I done Eddie Murphy? Where you have to do for the airlines. Instead of saying, "Man, fuck this shit," you have to, "Man, man, forget this shit." So you got to learn his intonation and how he said it, and match his mouth to whatever he's saying and sound like him. So then a lot of them don't do their own ADR.
Yeah.
So they have someone who comes in and does. You have to sound like Martin Lawrence. You have to sound like I've done Martin Lawrence, CGP Entertainer. I did Lance Reddick, Boris Kojo. Um, so you have to know, and that's a rhythm thing too. That's a whole rhythmic thing as well, because you have to fit in. You have to look how he's saying it. And hey, man, fuck you, get out of my face. And you go, hey, man, forget you, get out of my face. But you got to say it like them, and then put in the words, and then so that's a whole nother thing too. So learning efforts, screams, and saving your voice. So even Luke for Batman and stuff, we're doing things like screaming, making scary noises, and like, okay, everybody, we're at a nightclub. So what would you be saying in a nightclub? Oh man, you look so good. Da, da, da. Hey, Brown Bum, come over here. So you don't hear certain things. And then I'm gonna take this guy. So next time you're watching a movie, pay attention to the background things that are going on. A good movie. Sometimes bad movies, like some of the Tyler Perry movies that, people aren't doing
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
But and you watch how they fill in for the background and stuff.
Yeah, and you said you don't really audition for these parts, or more they just
Yeah, you
ask who
audition for
wants
it.
to.
No, you audition.
Okay.
No. Once you're in the group, I mean, once you're
Yeah,
the
that's what.
actors in the
Okay.
loop group, you're auditioning in the moment of like, okay, I'll take this guy, you take this guy. Can anybody do a cop? New York cop?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
I can do that. I need a female prostitute. Okay, I can do that. Hey, baby, what's your? So a girl will do that. You know what I mean? So you have to. I need a whatever it is that you have to you step up. And some people, and that's all some people's jobs. I know people who just do that for a living, are in loop
Mm.
groups, and they do TV shows, they do films, they do all kinds of stuff, and that's all they do. But you can do 5, 6 movies a week or TV shows a week, and you get paid like you're a SAG actor because you are a SAG actor. You get paid residuals on that. I had a friend of mine who's been doing loop groups for years, and now she's a loop group director. She got me into Batman.
Ooh.
And I remember 25 years ago, she showed me her residual checks. Her mail was like this, you know, 25 cents, a dollar, 350 from things she'd been doing a long time ago. So, some people just do loop groups. I know many people who just, besides their acting, they do a loop group.
Gosh, there's such an art to this, man.
Yeah, there's a
I
lot
love
of
this.
things in this business. Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier the joys of working with Anthony Hopkins. You mind mentioning, I guess, some of the favorite people that you've worked with throughout your career?
Anthony Hopkins was great. I loved working on Silicon Valley. Um, Everybody on there was, it's so nice to see. I had one scene with all the guys from, the crew, and how each of them have their own individual characters, and I'm doing my whole thing, and trying to not. I'm trying to not pay attention to this one actor. I forgot his name. I can't. I'm embarrassed now. He's an amazing actor, but he was terrified. He's supposed to be terrified in this moment, and he was so frozen scared. And I noticed it, and I can't deviate from that. But I was like, "Oh, he's fucking good." Like, I believe, I totally believe him, and um, I've worked on some great things with some really funny people, and Curb Your Enthusiasm was a big one for me. Um, and even simple scenes where I'm on a show called Upload on Amazon, where I get to work with my daughter. She's my daughter in the show, and matter of fact, I'm in the final season, and we had to shoot it in my backyard. Now so I'm in a tent in my backyard, acting like I'm in the wilderness. And the difference is, if you're on set, okay, quiet on set and action. You're just saying your dialogues between the two of you, right? Because no one else is talking, right? And there's no other sounds going on, because if you hear, fuck, you mess up your concentration, or you mess up whatever. But here, when I had to do it here, I got cars going by, helicopters going by. So I have to act in an intimate scene with my daughter with all this chaos going on around me. But I'm not used to acting that way, because a lot of times, most of the time, you're acting when there's quiet and you can concentrate, and it's a very small scene. So you got to adjust. You have to adjust and stuff. So I've been very fortunate to work with a lot of great actors and a lot of great people, and even Monk with Tony Shalhoub, and um, all kinds of. I've done a lot of stuff. So I've been very fortunate to work with. I work with some assholes too. Um, so I have no problem telling that Martin Lawrence was an asshole to me, but that's a whole nother ball game. And then, well, for the most part, people have been really, really great. I've had some really great experiences.
Yeah, out of all the projects, what would you say was the most unique project you've ever worked on?
Well, world's fastest Indian. I had to learn how to walk in 5-inch heels, and to be a legitimate person in 1960 something, as a black man who wears a dress and wig and makeup and nails and wears heels. And that's what he chooses to do.
Mhm.
He's not doing this for shits and giggles. He feels like he needs to express him. This is who he is, or who she is. So I have to learn how to walk in heels and walk in heels. So I had a friend of mine who did drag shows, who taught me how to walk in heels. So I have to be able to walk in heels like I walk in heels all the time. Because if I'm clunking around like this, it's like, well, you don't know how to wear it. I mean, obviously, that's not authentic to the character. I have to conduct myself as a woman, or I would think of being very feminine. And I was very self conscious because I have arms, and I was like, oh my god, I feel so fat. I feel so big as a woman. I wanted to be smaller and tinier to not look like a dude. You know what I
Sure.
mean? So that was a challenge for me to really become softer and be as soft as possible, and really and work with Anthony Hopkins. Um, you want to be able to step up and be believable to him. You know what I mean? Because he's got to believe you too. He's got to take you for how you are. And if I'm
Mhm.
going, yeah, I'm a woman, and you're like, I don't believe you at all. So I have to convince myself and be in that moment and be in that part and be really soft and small, and using bird seed in pantyhose as boobs, you know, and pantyhose and heels, and walking around in 5-inch heels all day. Your feet hurt. I mean, you feel for these women going, damn, like this is not easy to do, and act like this is what you do. So that was a
Mhm.
challenge. It was a really unique experience. Curb Your Enthusiasm, played Crazy Eyes Killer. And the unique part about that show in general is there's such autonomy with the characters. You're only given two lines for the whole, 2 or 3 lines for the whole show. You're given a situation of where you are. Have you ever seen the show? Crazy, you
Never
ever
seen the
seen
show.
Crazy? You're given a situation and you just know your character and you go for it. So I play a gangster rapper at the time. This is 2002. And I had to learn how to. I left my. I had brown contacts in for the audition. I had a grill. I had a tattoo. Called myself the Wolf Man. I was doing this whole thing right, and I came in, and I had to convince myself that I could be hard enough. I got to convince these people that I could be hard enough to be a gangster rapper. Sticky Fingers, Ghostface Killer, Master P, Mike Epps, they all read for this role. But I kind of knew
Okay.
what the comedy was, what makes it funny because you have to be authentic but not tell jokes. So I went in with this whole thing and I got the role. And then everything is improv. Everything is improv. So I didn't. I wore brown contacts for the audition, and because I have blue eyes, and I want to look harder. So I took one contact out because I don't wear contacts. And then so what's the name of your character? And I'm like, Crazy Eyes Killer with K's. So they named the episode after me. Yeah. So everything that I got to say out of my mouth in the episode is mine, that I came up with, that I originated that character, that I made that character come to life, as opposed to having something written for you and making it your character that way. I wrote the lyrics to the rap song. I wrote, you know, funny things with each other and being authentically my character, and then him reacting off of me too. So that was a really special experience for me because it's all improv. It's all me. It really is essentially all me in this larger machine of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and really special project. And then making things. Curb Your Enthusiasm was great. Um, Yeah, I've done over 100. I've done a lot of shows. Sometimes I forget. I was like, oh yeah, I was on CSI and CSI Miami and CSI Vegas. Like, oh, I was on all three, three CSIs and this, that, and the other, and the evolution of things, and working with people over and over again. And I played a wedding singer. I did a single cam show called Wedding Bells with David E. Kelly, and we had 6 episodes, and I got to play wedding singer. So I got to record all kinds of songs. I got to go in the studio and record me singing, Hava Nagila, and me singing, you know, um, a duet with someone, or as a wedding singer. So that was a great experience as well. Um, so I've been very lucky to be able to do different things and be in different situations, and it's been a great career. And Dodgeball, I mean, I got to, for 3 months, hang out with a bunch of really smart, funny people and play Dodgeball and make my character my own, because I was at the table read, the first table read for the movie because of Curb Your Enthusiasm. They invited me to do the table read, so I was there with Ben Stiller and Vince Vaughn and Justin Long and some people that weren't even in the movie yet, but wanted to hear it for the first time, that ended up auditioning, and I ended up working with people throughout the whole audition process, and I didn't even know if I had the role or not until I was testing with the other people, and then I'm like, I don't even know. They kept using me, and they go, "You got the role." So that was a great experience too. 3 months, and that was a lot of fun. Um, so yeah, I've been very fortunate to be in a lot of great situations.
Yeah, for Dodgeball, did you guys realize how iconic of a comedy that was gonna be when you're making it?
I thought the script was brilliant. The script was so fucking good. Rosslyn Thurber was going to USC Film School, and he did this thing called Terry Tate Office Linebacker, where Georgia, you didn't fill up the coffee mug, and he'd tackle him. It was a really funny TV spot that he did, and he wrote the script, and the script was so subtly. I love silly, smart comedy, like that. You gotta know certain things, but it's also very, very silly. You know what I mean? At the same time, and very specific and very well thought out characters, and you're rooting for the underdog. And I knew it was special. I knew it was special because the script was so good. The people, the casting was so good. Remember, and Jason Bateman, Hank Azaria,
Yeah. Yeah.
small, Lance Armstrong, David Hasselhoff. I mean, William Shatner. I got to work with William Shatner. Like it was a great experience. It was a great experience, and I remember, being in Vegas for a week and shooting in Vegas and being in Vegas with Vince Vaughn. Right after he's like the king of Vegas because of Swingers, the movie he did a long
Oh
time ago,
yeah.
and
Oh
he's
yeah.
known. So going to a restaurant, in the casino, he's like, just let's just order everything on the menu, just everything. They're gonna get it for free. He's just like, just order everything. I'm like, really? Had so much fucking food, and then it was great. And then we went to a strip club, and I tell the story about, we had to work the next morning, and it was like, I'm not spending all my money in a strip club. And I threw in the bathroom and I said, hey, I'm going to go back. We got to work tomorrow morning. I'm going to go. And Vince was like, it's $400. I was like, I don't want to spend any more. It's $400. You go out there and make me proud. I'm like, Vince, I don't, he's like, get out there. I'm like, okay. You know, Very generous guy, really nice guy. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun on the set of Dodgeball. So I'm very proud to be part of that iconic film.
Yeah. I think back to that film. I was like, man, Ben Stiller in that movie. At
Yeah,
this
and he was
point.
great.
This might be a hot take. I think he's underrated at this point, right now. Like back then, not so much because everyone knew him. Right now, I think he's kind of an underrated guy just because he just has such a
As a
interesting career.
director, he's directing
Yeah,
Severance.
Severance. Uh
Yeah.
huh.
Hmm.
Totally. And curious because every actor, I think, at least faced at some point in their career, like obviously a lot of ups and downs, but sometimes the downs feels quite long. What was the most challenging part for you in your career?
What it has been recently in the past, with COVID, and
Yeah.
then how the industry is really shut down here because of first with COVID, and then I'm more of an indie person type of auditioning. When you go in and audition for something,
Mhm.
you deal with people and make an adjustment. I can make an adjustment really well, but now everything is done on tape. Everything is done on, you pre-tape it and you send it in, so you don't know if they've seen it, you know if they didn't watch it, you have no idea. So, and they can see more people, and I, at one point, I had established myself as a down to, if we have a guest star for a TV show, there's really 20, 25 people in LA or New York that are reading for that role. And everyone gets to see, and you get to a certain level, you get to be one of the get a shot at that. And now it's expanded worldwide, and you have to shoot your best shot, and it may not be what they're looking for, and you can't make an adjustment. So that's been a difficult a difficult adjustment to make, um, recently, and everything is shut down. With um, a lot of things have left LA, so you don't really necessarily have to be here anymore. To and you have to learn that now. I have to learn how to edit, to tape, to edit, to mic, to light. You're doing all this extra work. It has nothing to do with your acting. Nothing to do with your acting. So that's been an adjustment. And then you also change how you're seen too. I'm not a 35-year-old, you know, guy next door. I'm more of a father to a 25-year-old now. You know what I mean? Or getting into the judge category of, 60s or whatever. So there's different. You have to adjust to certain what you are, what you're being seen for. You know. Um, so yeah, it's not an easy job to have. Even and that's why you see Robert De Niro doing TV now. That's why you see, also, how it's changed, how things have changed. I used to do a ton of commercials when I wasn't working and acting wise because I was really good at it. So I used to do 5 commercials a day. The first when Dr. Scholl's, are you gelling? I'm gelling like a felon. Like, huge commercials that I used to do. And now all celebrities do commercials. So a regular guy does not get a chance. A regular actor is pushed up because people need work. And now, because back in the early '90s and the in 2000s, you'd go to Japan and see people, stars doing commercials, but never, it was beneath them here. You would never do commercials. And now that's everybody does commercials. Jason Momoa, I mean, everybody does, AT&T or Verizon, whatever commercials for, so kind of the middleman actor, the the working actor has been pushed to the side a little bit because you're not a name and they want a name for something, but you can be just as good as an actor. So a lot of celebrities get stuff now. So the industry has really changed. The industry has really changed. And you would never see film stars doing TV, and now all film stars do TV, because
Mhm.
it's a different ballgame now.
Yeah, you mentioned the LA and kind of like there seems to be like this mass migration. Do you plan on staying yourself?
No, actually, I'm planning to. Yeah, I want to live in Europe. I believe
Europe.
I've been to 52 countries, so I love traveling, and I go to Europe a lot. I'm going next in 2 3 weeks. I'm going to London and Turkey, and um, I lived in Italy for during the strike. We had a SAG strike last year. That was another thing. The strike really messed us up as well. So while we were on strike, I went to Italy and lived in Italy in a small town for 7 weeks. Um, and worked on my Italian, and it was an amazing experience. And I was like, you know, food is better for you. People are nicer. Things are cheap. It's beautiful. History. You get a croissant and a cappuccino here. That'll cost you what, $15 maybe plus tip, right? You get a croissant for $6, right? And then you get a coffee if you want to put some shit in it. It could be 6, 7, $8, and plus tip 20%. You're looking at 12, $15, $3 for a croissant, a freshly made croissant and a cappuccino with water. They give you water too, and they serve you, and no tip. Then you don't have to. They don't believe in tipping. $3 for a better situation. So yeah, so I'm planning, hopefully, selling my house and getting out. And then I remember, as I said, I can audition from anywhere at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, I can be anywhere and audition. So even if I'm in Italy or whatever, I can audition and then fly back and do what I need to do.
You think you'd aim for any type of being in Italian films?
I would like to do that. I would like to do that. Matter of fact, Jesse Williams is doing a TV show or a film right now in Italy, and Condola Rice, um, Condola Rashad, who was in Billions and stuff. She's based out of Sicily now, I believe. So she's working. So there is some work that's going on over there. And then I was in London. My sister's doing a show in London right now. And I was talking to people over there, and they're like, you can really work a lot here. They need American actors, because all the Brits are doing American accents. And if you're a real American, you can. So, yeah, there's opportunities abroad. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of auditioning, was there ever a dream role that you had that you auditioned for but didn't get?
I auditioned for uh, Jerry Maguire, the, Cuba Gooding role. I
Mm,
auditioned for I auditioned for a lot of things. Most things you don't get. Um, yeah, I would have loved to have done American Fiction. I didn't even get to audition for that, but that would have been my dream project. American. Did you guys see the American Fiction with Jeffrey Wright?
yeah,
You didn't like it?
it was alright. I should say I also only watched like probably half an hour of it. I kind of walked in on it, and as my parents were watching, they kind of walked out. I was
You
kind of
can't.
like
You,
this.
you can't. You can't
I know,
evaluate
I
something.
know, I know, I know. I'll watch it in full someday.
I watched 15 minutes of it. And, yeah. No, yeah, look at it in total. It was an amazing project. Anyway, but I would have loved to have been in that. Yeah, a lot of things, lot of things I would have liked to have been in. But it's part of the rejection. Is you get rejected much more than you get accepted in. So you have to
Oh
learn
yeah.
how to deal with that. And a lot of it is not personal, and some of it is personal. So, but you got to take it all the same way. You know,
Is it even healthy to have regrets if you're an actor?
is it? Do I have regrets having act?
Is it healthy to have regrets as an actor?
You gotta. Once it's gone, you gotta leave it alone. You can't regret it. You gotta because it'll gnaw at you forever, and you gotta let it go. You gotta let it be. If it is what it is, you know, you can get really close on a project, and then maybe you reminded the producer of their ex-boyfriend, or maybe you were too good looking for the lead, or not good looking enough, or not black enough. I've had the situation where I wasn't brown enough. They want to make sure that the best friend or whatever is brown, like a brother. So maybe, Chris doesn't, is he black? I've had that, all kinds of situations. But you got to let it go. You have no choice but to let it go, or it'll eat you alive, and you'll never make it. Never make it if you keep stewing over certain things. It's really not an easy business. Not an easy
Mm.
business.
Do you have a Mount Rushmore of comedy films?
Comedy films. My favorite film is Young Frankenstein with Mel Brooks and Gene Wilder. I know you're too young to. Yeah, you
Okay,
weren't even born when that movie came out.
I haven't seen
That's a
that
gr-
one, but I've heard good things.
it's a silly. It's very silly, but very smart. That's why I love that silly, smart comedy. I love that film. I think it's hysterical. Um, I love not Midnight Run. Yeah, Midnight Run with
That
Robert
run.
De Niro and Charles Grodin. Not Midnight Run. Yeah, Midnight Run, right?
Yeah. Is
Anyway,
that buddy cop movie?
and then yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, and Charles Grodin. I love that film. Um, Defending Your Life with Albert Brooks and Meryl Streep. I have a lot of obscure ones. That's a great, great, beautiful, funny, really funny film. Um, Take the Money and Run by Woody Allen is a ridiculously silly yet smart yet that's a great film. So I got a lot of obscure, films like that I really. I've been lucky to be in Dodgeball and Friday After Next. I get recognized for a lot, and um, playing a crackhead. And that was a lot of fun. Um, but yeah, those are. I like really silly, smart comedies. I haven't had American Fiction was that's not a comedy, but um, yeah. Anyway, so go ahead.
Yeah. Do you have a? I mean, anytime someone asks me what my favorite movie is, I can never answer because that's such a hard question. Are you able to answer that? Even like your Mount Rushmore movies?
Yeah, Young Frankenstein, City of God. You ever see that? It's a
Oh,
Brazilian
I've heard of
film.
that. That's a. Is that
That's a
French?
great. No, it's Brazilian.
Okay.
It's a great film. It's a great, great film. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey. That's an amazing one. Raging Bull. De
Ooh.
Niro. Oof. Goodfellas. Godfather.
Ooh.
Godfather Two. Iconic films like that. Jaws is a great film. Um, I'm just trying to think of what what movies that I actually buy. You know what I mean? Back in the day
Yeah.
that I have, you know, those are some of my favorite films. Those are probably like I know I'm missing like, Shawshank. I mean,
Mm,
that's just a top to bottom, a fucking amazing film.
mm.
Um, Shawshank Redemption. Yeah, so there's been some run the gamut of 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Um, like some of the yeah, yeah. And then I'll think of some more as we go along, but those
Yeah,
those are
'cause
some of
I was
my
gonna
my
also
top
ask
ones.
your favorite actors of all time, or who you think are the most talented actors of all time.
Well, Daniel Day Lewis and Meryl Streep for me are the
Oh,
two. If you've never seen My Left Foot, have you ever seen My Left Foot?
I haven't seen My Left Foot.
Daniel Day-Lewis plays a dude who only can control his left foot. It's based on a
Yeah,
true story. The fucking dude is he's and Meryl Streep. I mean, everyone in their mother. I mean, I know that's such a trite answer but she can do anything, anything, anything. Comedy. She's fucking brilliant. Daniel Lewis is just like
he is.
exceptional. I love the stillness of Morgan Freeman. You look at Shawshank, there's one shot when he's finally, when he's talking about his parole. He's at his parole hearing and he's given up. And he's like, I just, because usually he was like this. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm reformed, this, that, and the other. And then you just watch him, the stillness that he has. And all they do is push in like this. They push in on the camera on his eyes and he's just telling this story. Oh, beautiful. Um, there's um, Gene Wilder is one of my favorite actors
Amazing.
from the producers, from Young Frankenstein. And Willy Wonka, the humanity that he brings to this man, oh, it's just brilliant. Who else do I love? Um, yeah, those are my Daniel Day-Lewis, Gene Wilder, Morgan Freeman, Denzel, of course. I mean, Denzel is fucking
Mhm.
Denzel. James Earl Jones was amazing. Sidney Poitier was great. I loved um yeah, so those are my top. Meryl Streep is just like she cannot. I like Julianne Moore. I like all kinds. There's I can go on and on. Viola Davis,
Oh,
Ingenue Ellis. You know Ingenue Ellis? She's
no.
been nominated for 2 Academy Awards. She just for Orange. She is she. She's an amazing actress. Ingenue Ellis she's been nominated for 2 Academy Awards. She should have been nominated for Origin, which she just was last year's Academy Awards, and she didn't get nominated. Oh, she is an actor's. She's in Nickel Boys. Did you see Nickel Boys?
And
That's
Nickel Boys.
come on, man. You talk
Okay,
about film.
you're naming all the
Come
movies I
on,
haven't seen.
man.
I've seen a lot of movies. I've seen a lot of movies, but something that you're
Nickel
mentioning, it
Boys
was like,
is nominated for an Academy Award this
okay.
year, and she's in that. She's an amazing actress. So yeah, and then yeah. So that's why I'm out Mount Rushmore of actors, I guess.
Well, wait, have you seen the movie Doubt?
Meryl Streep and Viola
It's
Davis. Are you
Viola
kidding me?
Davis, Meryl Streep, and Philip Seymour Hoffman.
He was one of my favorites. Philip Seymour Hoffman was no joke. He
No
was and
joke.
Bookie Nights. And Bookie Nights,
Oh,
did you see him in Book?
oh
He
yeah.
is oh my god, how he loved and I mean, I get chills how he loved Mark Wahlberg and he was so in love with that man and he couldn't show it. Oh God, he just Philip Seymour Hoffman was Heath Ledger. I mean, people just throwing down on stuff in certain roles, just like they're like, damn. When I go, damn, I don't know if I can do that. It's like, damn, and in my own profession, whew, people just are gifted. People are really, really good. Ryan
Yeah,
Gosling, I love Ryan Gosling.
he's good.
He's a great guy too. Like I was fortunate enough to go to the premiere of La La Land, and my manager was Ryan Gosling's manager. And so after we saw the premiere, we ran to the after party and we got there first. And in this booth in the back. So my manager, we went up to and it was Ryan Gosling and what's her name?
Emma Stone.
What's her name? Emma Stone. What's her Amy? Yeah. And Emma Stone just sitting by themselves in the booth, right? And I was like, and when I saw the two of their performances, I'm like, yo, that's Academy. That's like that's it. I mean, I'm like, and I get to say to them after seeing their premiere of their film and say, I got to tell you, it was an amazing job. I mean, Emma, you're incredible. And Ryan, and I had met Ryan before, and he says to Emma, he goes, you know who that is? And she goes, who? She goes, that's Crazy Eyes Killer. And he goes to me, and I'm like, yo, for to go, I get chill to go to. That's how cool Ryan Gosling is. That's how cool Ryan Gosling is. In his heyday, in the premiere of his film's after party, he tells Emma Stone, he takes it off of what they just did and said, by the way, he should be noted for something that I appreciate in his work. And to let you know about it. I'm going to let you know who that motherfucker is. And he goes like this to me. And I was like, oh, thank you, Ryan. That's how cool Ryan Gosling is. You can't fuck with Ryan Gosling with me. Don't ever come at me about Ryan. That's how cool and nice Ryan Gosling. And Mahershala Ali, that dude's a fucking amazing dude too. He's an amazing individual, amazing person, and an incredible actor as well. So I love him. There's some great contemporary actors that you know, and even being jealous over um, Key and Peele. Those motherfuckers were brilliant, brilliant. I still watch Key and Peele sketches going, I can do that, and I've done that. But these motherfuckers are like on their game. So I always
Mm,
give props because I used to go on auditions with both of them. We're going out for the same roles on a lot of things. But I'm like, you two motherfuckers and they deserve all the praise they get for all the success they've had. So yeah,
damn, that's so cool.
but Ryan Gosling, you can't fuck with Ryan Gosling. I
That's
mean,
a sweet spot.
to give up the love for someone else when you are receiving all the love in the world because you just did something phenomenal, and to give it to someone else, that's amazing.
Okay, since you've had such a long career, I'm curious to hear how has working in Hollywood, being around those of Hollywood, changed how you view the world?
How I view the world? Uh, well, when you go to a Diddy party, you have to. I'm just kidding. um, um, it reminds you that there are still giving, loving, collaborative people out there because the world really is not a collaborative right now. A collaborative uh, place right now. It's very divided, very polarized on viewpoints and everything, and there's no communal feeling. And on a set, a lot of times, it's a family on us. It's everyone's trying to make a great product together with different views and this and the other to make something good for everybody. And you don't get a lot of that anymore. People are really out for themselves in every respect.
Mm,
So that kind of saddens me. Um, but yeah, you know, I think the people that work together to get a bigger thing in a positive manner. Um, that gives me a little bit of seeing that in action gives me hope that maybe one day we can get back to something like that on a larger level. I may have different opinions than you for different things, but not to get into politics, but if everyone is, I believe a different thing, but I'm not imposing that on you. Now I feel like it's an imposition from maybe even both sides, as opposed to just everyone being um, in a collective society. Even if I don't like this that, and the other, we are still all have to work together at some point, and you don't get a lot of that anymore. So I don't know if that even answers the question, but
no, it does.
um, you know,
Yeah, that's cool. And have you ever had a supernatural or paranormal encounter?
yes, when I was probably 10, I remember being in bed and I remember looking at my door and I remember this black figure, slowly came in and came to my bed and was standing over my bed. And my heart was pounding out of my chest. And I was afraid. And I saw it. And then he turned around and walked out the room. And as soon as he walked out of the room, I turned the light. I was like, "Whoa, Mom." I ran to my parents' room. And I'm like, there was someone in my room. I swear to God, there was someone I don't know if it's my grandfather or someone or some spirit or someone. He came in my room. I'll never forget that feeling. He looked over me and then walked back out. And I was like, yeah, that was one thing. Um, I was also in Joshua Tree, which is, in California, which is like in the desert. And it's beautiful for stargazing and this, that, and the other. And I was with a lady friend and we were in a hot tub and it's the two of us and there's no other houses around and the sky is open and it's all clear and it's beautiful. And I was like, you know, there's got to be there's got to be aliens. There's got to be other beings out there, that we can't be we can't, we're such a small thing. We can't be the only life matter. And I was like, and I wonder if they ever even listen to us or what they're saying. And all of a sudden, this pink thing went shoom, right, like from about 300 feet above the air. And it was pink and it went right across our heads. And I'm like, did you see that? She's like, yes, I saw. I said, you saw that, right? We had just talked about it. And this thing went shoom, right above our heads. It wasn't a star. It wasn't, thousands of feet. It wasn't a drone. It was this, it was lavender pink and just flew. And as soon as I said, I wonder if they're listening, he went, shoom. And I was like, we looked at each other. I'm like, you saw that, right? You saw that, right? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, are you sure? Because I saw that. Did you see it? She's like, yes, I saw that. That was like fucking wild. Any other supernatural experiences? Um, no, but I believe there are. Uh, I, my philosophy on supernatural stuff and life after death and all that kind of stuff is right now I'm creating energy. Doing this is energy. Energy is being expounded in terms of atoms and this. I'm creating energy. When my body dies, what generates that energy has to. That's when they say the soul leaves the body. Maybe it's the soul leaves the body and there's energy. I believe it has to go someplace. It has to go someplace. So I believe it goes into plants or it goes into something else, or that's what spirits are to me, are their energies from other people. You can feel someone's bad energy, viscerally when you see someone, you're like, oh, I don't know, something about them makes me nervous, or there's not, there's bad energy. And there's some people who have great, beautiful energy as well. So I believe this energy is always circulating no matter what and going into things. And um, yeah, that's what I believe in terms of like, and I believe, honestly, I try to believe that huh, if you do good and you act good and you do things for other people, you will get that back in some form. In some form, by extending yourself. I remember my sister was doing an interview with Oprah, and this is like 30, 35, 33 years ago, like a long time ago. She's interviewing my sister, and it was at lunchtime, and I was sitting eating like a chicken wing or whatever. Just, I was on set, whatever. Oprah came over, sat down next to me. I was 22 at the time. Sat down next to me and was eating her food. And she goes, "So, Chris, what do you do?" And I was like, "Oh, well, I graduated. I'm trying to be an actor." She's like, "Oh, that's really good. Well, good, Oprah, we need you back." She's like, "Oh, good luck with everything. I hope that works out for you." And she walked away, and I was like, "She didn't have to do that. She didn't have to do that. She did not have to come over to me and share humanity with me because she's fucking Oprah at the top of Oprahness. You know what I mean? She didn't have to come over to me and relate to me as an individual just to take me in as who I was. Not like, who the fuck are you? Who some people are like that. Like, we don't know who the fuck you are. She took the time out to do that. And as I was like, yeah, to me, you can't fuck with Oprah because she didn't have to do that. And I like when people don't have to do
Mhm.
something for other people, but they do it anyway because it's either the right thing to do or it makes people feel good or it's just nice. You know what I mean? People aren't fucking nice anymore. Just for the sake of being nice, going out of their way to be nice, to be nice. And whenever I go to, I'm on a travel, hotel, planes, I always bring chocolate with me. I bring a bag of chocolates and I just hand them out to the flight attendants. I don't want anything back. It's great if you get something back in terms of they're like, oh, would you not need anything extra? But I'm doing it just to make someone else feel good and they can use that. You know what I mean? It makes me feel good to go out of my way to make someone else feel good. Just even if it's this much, even if it's just a fucking chocolate. People appreciate that, and it could change. You don't know what the tipping point can change someone's day. You don't know what that is. That could, paying it forward, that could, act something else, or they're really hungry and they needed something, and I got this fucking chocolate. It's just perfect, whatever it is, whatever you use it for. But I like trying to go out of my way and do something for someone else that can benefit them or benefit me. And if it's no, if it's easy for me to do, then why not do it? You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
didn't know anything about your podcast, but I'm honored that you had me on here and I got to have a chance to connect with you and talk with you.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate connecting with you too. That actually leads us to our final question. Every time we have a guest on Worldviews, we always ask them one question you can ask God if you knew for a fact he would answer you right away. What would your question be?
I would be like, was I right? Yeah, you're right. I was like, thank you. My man is Michael Gates. All the doubts, all the doubts, all of the confusion. I would just want to know, was I right? Like, what were my instincts, how I live my life, and how did I do enough, or did I do the best that I can? And um, was I right about what I thought was going on? Even if I have doubts about the existence of God or Jesus Christ, or if I have doubts about something, you've given me free will to exercise that free will of having doubts.
Amen.
And if unless it's proven to me, and if I'm like, oh, there is a God, okay, well, shit, I'm open. I'm open to that, or higher being. And if she says, if she said, oh, whatever the being is, or the higher power, whatever, and I'm like, well, hey, I tried to live my best life, and was I right? They're like, yeah. I was like, all right, well, cool, thanks, man. Thanks, sis. Let me in.
Cool. Well, Chris, I appreciate the time. This was a lot of fun. Any other advice, tips, pieces of wisdom I'll leave with the viewers?
Try to leave someone better than you left them. Try to leave someone better than you left them. Do something for someone every day if you can. Just making them look. If whenever I call up on, whenever someone serves me or customer service, I always ask their name, ask how they're doing. It's that it doesn't take much to make someone feel really good. It really doesn't. So and if you're well within your capability, to just ask, people are so surprised if you ask how you doing. Like, how you doing? How's your day going today? People are so, because no one does it anymore. No one gives a shit about anybody else anymore. They just want for themselves. What are you getting me? Yeah, you give me that. Look, how you doing? What's going on? You okay? Thank you very much, Christine. I appreciate that. Just just make someone better than you left them. You know? That's my
Hmm.
that's my advice.
I like that. I like that. Well, Chris, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Free audio post production by alphonic.com.